How's it going to Forest TV? My name is Jack and welcome to another video by myself on the channel, and today I'm going to be talking about positions and players I think Forest should be bringing in over the summer. Obviously I'm no football expert, no chief scout or any scout for that matter. It's just my opinion from what I've heard and players that I think would be good to bring in. So yeah, anyway, without any more waffle, I think I'm just going to prefix this video by saying I'm talking about the squads we got now. I'm not going to be predicting players are leaving. Like, you know, if Worrell leaves, I'm not going to predict, you know, oh, we should get a player in centre back because Worrell's going to be leaving. I don't know he's leaving. He's still a Forest player, so as it stands, we don't need anyone in that position. So I'm not really going to be talking about that. I'm just going to be talking about as squad stands at the minute with the players who have just been released from the club. I'm just going to be talking about the squad as we have it on paper as of right now. So yeah, I think it's got to be a big transfer window for Forest, a real statement window. I think it's a window where we can get rid of some of the dead wood and really bring in players who are young, hungry, either or, you know, young or hungry, preferably both, but who are hungry. We've got something to prove, something to really sort of show to the world, really. I don't want players who have come from Premier League clubs, they've fallen down the pecking order, they've left because they don't really fit, you know, the way their club's going, and they're just playing out their career and they've come to Forest to get their last little paycheck. That I've had enough of that too much, and I think we want to be looking at, I'm really happy that we're looking at League One, looking at players from League One who we can bring in, because I think that's really interesting and a real you know, a statement of intent, really, because players coming up from League One, you look at Tony, you look at Watkins, just to name two from Brentford, they're real players who took the league by storm. They have something to show, they have something to be to prove to people, and it's really important that we can get the best out of players like that and really get those players who are chomping at the bit to show what they can offer and then want to make that step up. I think the first position I'm going to highlight is left back. Obviously with Yuri going, we've only got now Blackett, who was okay but not really a first choice player for me, and Ianu, who I think's probably going to be going if he hasn't gone already. And the player for me who I've heard a lot of people talk about, who personally myself I've not seen play, but I've heard a lot of good things about him, and that's Joe Ruffles. I think it's Joe Ruffles from Oxford. He's a player who, you know, who I've heard a lot of good stuff about, a lot of good things coming from League One. I don't really have any personal you know, any personal connections with him in terms of me seeing him play or anything like that, but again, a player coming up from League One who had a good season with Oxford, got to the playoffs, a player who is a player ready to make that step up, ready to prove himself, and I don't see why we shouldn't be bringing someone like that in. You know, Yuri's going, I'm really disappointed to see him go. It's a real shame, but to replace him with someone like Ruffles, I think that could be a good bit of business. You know, there are other positions that you look at, maybe right back, you think, oh, Christie's gone, maybe a centre mid or something like that, a winger, maybe Amiobi's been released, Knockout's gone back on loan, who are we going to bring in? But I think we've got some really good youngsters coming through, who again, at League One last season. Gabriel, I think he'll be a brilliant right back. I know Sabri tried to play him at the start of last season, he wasn't quite ready, but I think he's probably ready now. Another season this year, winning the playoffs, which is a huge experience. I think he could be, you know, slotting into our side superbly, if I'm honest. You look at Fauna at Plymouth, a lot of people are talking about him. I haven't really seen too much of him either, but you know, from what I've heard, he could be a useful squad player for us, a player who, you know, potentially could be on the precipice of a first team performance week in, week out, seeing how he performs and how he plays. But, you know, a player who would be handy to have around the squad, and obviously the star man, the star boy, who everyone's ranting and raving about at the minute for Forest, and that's Brennan Johnson out on that left-hand side. The other side to Alex Myerton, it's going to be a tasty link-up, that. But, yeah, from what we've seen, we've all seen him play in the playoffs, he just looks... He looks brilliant. He looks like he's got the full package. You know, it gives me real Dele Alli vibes at MK Dons, and to have a player like that at Forest could really knock us to the next level. But yeah, another position I think we should be looking to target players in would, for me, be centre midfield. Either bringing in Joe Garner. Joe Garner? James Garner. Joe Garner played for us absolute years ago. I don't know why I got mixed up there, but James Garner for me here must bring in on loan. I saw something where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would be happy to let him go out on loan to us again, which is huge news for us. I think he could really take us to that next level with if he's a bit more consistent. You know, he had some really flashes of brilliance. You look at QPR at home, Cardiff away, brilliant performance from him there. But then you look at Huddersfield at home, he wasn't very good, made a huge error for the goal. But no, I think if we can get him on loan, I'll definitely do it. I think it could be a huge bit of business for us. And another player who I think would be, we should look at either to partner Garner or to bring in to add competition, or in case we can't get Garner, is Dempsey from Gillingham. Again, someone who I've heard a lot about. He's a captain, I think. He's a real leader. Someone in the middle of the park who's not afraid to get himself stuck in. You know, someone I just think that, again, coming from League One, something to prove, he wants to make that step up. He wants to show that he's capable of making that step up. And, you know, to play alongside Garner, alongside Yates, offer competition for either or, offered something a little bit different potentially. You know, I think it's a really interesting bit of business and something that if we can do it, because I think I saw on some social media posts that he'd only be about $1.5 million, and you know, for us that's not much at all. And I'd really look to try and bring him in. I think it'll be really interesting to see how he can do. And another important position that I think we definitely need to target is striker. Obviously, with Taylor potentially leaving out on loan, I think the club said they wanted to let him go on loan. He's been really underwhelming, and it's a real shame. Some bits of brilliance from him. Wickham at home was exceptional. You look at Cardiff at home in the cup, brilliant goal there. Derby scored an important goal, will be remembered for that one. But then not so great performances. Some games where he's just seen sort of throwing himself on the ground and not really looking too fussed. And you know, he came in with a lot of promise but hasn't fulfilled that, and I'd personally probably let him go permanently if I'm honest. But if you need to get him out on loan, probably get him out on loan. You probably go to someone like Bristol City or sorry if you get my neighbours there on an absolute mad one, or Barnsley, and score like 12 goals or something ridiculous. But no, I think yeah, and also with Murray retiring, we definitely need a striker, and there's two men for me that we have to look at getting. One of them's going to be a bit more difficult because he just got promoted, and one I think because they failed to get promoted, we've got to look at Charlie Wyke. He scored 30 plus goals. He's a real penalty box poacher. He's quite similar to Graben, so if he can't play, Graben can come in and hopefully rekindle his form, and have two very similar strikers. I think he's got a real eye for goal. I watched him in the playoffs when they played Lincoln at St James. No, not St James. I'm going to get my head chopped off. The Stadium of Light, and he was really good. He knows where to be, knows how to get into that position, and he looks really good, and a player who I think really needs to make that step up and has the quality to do so. And someone who is going to be a bit more difficult to bring in. I wanted Lincoln to go up because I quite like Lincoln. I know a couple of Lincoln fans, it would be quite nice. They're a local side to me, so I'd like it to be able to go to Central Bank away. But also because we could potentially have gotten this man, that's Jerry Yates. I think he looks like a really good striker. I saw him a little bit in the playoffs. He just looks like a natural born goal scorer, someone who can get in those positions again, someone who's just a real handful for defenders, and someone who knows where the back of the net is and knows how to score goals. And that's what we lacked last season, that know-how, that knowledge to get the ball in the back of the net. I think if we can bring in one of those two, it could be really interesting. If Houghton wants to put his faith in someone like Graben, then why not bring in a youngster like Jepcott from Plymouth? A really young player, but he's got a real high amount of potential, and it'll be interesting to see whether he can make that step up. But no, I'd be really interested to see how he does. I've heard a couple of Plymouth fans, mainly Pie-Faced if you know who he is, raving about Jeffcott, so it'll be nice to see if we can bring him in, bring a youngster in, and potentially get that Ivan Toney effect, which would be absolutely superb. Some other positions I think would be interesting to see what we can do with them. I think we could do with a right midfielder. Obviously we'll have I think probably a midfielder on both sides. We'll have youngsters like Myton and Johnson, coming in those positions. But we need probably a couple more to come in. Maybe a knockout coming back. I don't really think that's really something that's going to happen. Obviously with Amiobi being released, which I'm quite surprised about, we need players in those positions that can either make that step up to the first team or come in as backups. And someone like Krovinovic, I think getting him back would be really, really important in behind the striker. So yeah, for me, left back, centre mid, and striker are keys for me, and then wingers and a cam would be lovely. So yeah, let us know in the comments down below what you think and who you think we should be bringing in and what position we should be targeting. And yeah, hopefully a really good transfer window and an exciting one ahead. So yeah, thank you for watching. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new.